I've done barely any writing words at all this week, and that's okay. There's a lot of reasons sometimes why we can't actually write as often or as much as we would like to. And today I want to have a little chat about what might get in the way of your writing and what it is you can do about it. So if that's something you think would interest you, then stick around. The first reason, or I found that there were three main reasons why there are days when we just can't write. The first one is obvious. Life gets in the way. Things happened. For example, last Tuesday, I didn't get any words done at all because I was waiting on a delivery of my desk. I have a new desk. But it might seem strange to some people, especially seeing as I am a full time author, but I can't write if I know something's going to happen in my day. And I had delivery drivers that said they were going to be there between 8 and 12. It was actually closer to 2. And by the time they'd been and my desk had been delivered and everything else, my urge to write had completely gone. You may have 6 children. You may have pressing things going on at your other work. There are a whole stack of reasons where some days you just don't have the time to write. The second reason that you may not have been doing as much writing as you'd like to is perhaps you're stuck in your story. And when you get stuck at a certain point in your story, you can often feel less motivated to write. I read, I think it was a Medium article or something the other day that was saying that some woman had actually cleaned out her fridge and scrubbed out her cupboards and things like that rather than put words on a page. And that would have been because she was stuck in her story. And the third reason, of course, is some days you're just not feeling it. Writing does take a certain amount of discipline, a certain amount of dedication. And sometimes we're just tired and we want to curl up and scroll whatever it is that you scroll in a day. There's nothing wrong with feeling bad about it. Well, there is actually something wrong with feeling bad about any of those things, but there's nothing wrong with any of those reasons for not writing. The important thing is what you do about it. Now, in the first case, it's simple. If you have a busy life, then, and you happen to have a day where you had planned to write and you weren't able, then you just turn around and you reschedule that writing time somewhere else. There is other times when maybe your having to reschedule happens too often. If that does happen, then you might want to stop and think to yourself, okay, where can I carve out a dedicated time to write every day or every second day or whenever it is you want to write? Or do I have to rethink my priorities? Now, clearly, making a living, looking after family and things like that, they're all really important, definitely. But if you have an urge to get your book finished, and this is something you are doing for yourself, then maybe look at that whole adage of getting up earlier in the morning, staying up later at night, maybe foregoing the social media for an hour so you can actually get some words done. I've spoken a lot of times about how you can actually progress your book every day just by taking 5 or 10 minutes in a day to just jot down part of a scene. Even if you set yourself a goal of 100 words a day, they all add up to a story that will get finished. So if time is your issue, then yeah, maybe look at reprioritizing things, maybe shift things around a little bit if it's at all possible. Because if you really want to write that book, then anybody can find 5 or 10 minutes. In the case of where you've gotten stuck with your story, that's a slightly different problem. If you've been a long time watcher of my channel, you know I've mentioned many times about the muddy middle, the murky middle, and getting stuck in the middle of a story. Excuse me. We all have this great excitement when we start our books, and then we know this great, fantastic climax scene we're going to have at the end, but then there's that issue in the middle, and it's getting from there to there. That can sometimes be the hardest part to write. You're going to have to excuse me a second. I do know if I don't drown that tickle in my throat, then I end up coughing for like 5 minutes flat. But anyway, where was I? You still need to get through that middle part of your story. So here's a couple of suggestions. You could skip a chapter or two and go on to a scene that you know you want to write. Then you could go back and fill in those other gaps later. You could go right to the end and write the climax of your story and then work backwards from there to fill in the rest of your story. Another thing that you could do is just open up your document normally and write something totally ludicrous. Write something that your characters would never do or say in a million years. Just write something completely rubbish, because then you've got something to edit. And you never know, those weird ideas that you have when you're sort of thinking, well, if I'm going to write anything, and you just write anything, they might actually turn out to be the highlight of your book. You never know. So you can give it a try. And the other idea, of course, is to start writing something else. I've also talked quite openly about the fact that I'm usually running at least 2 work in progresses at the same time. At the moment, I'm currently writing 3 because one of them's my collab. And so it does make it easier to sort of hop between book to book. So if I do feel a bit stuck in one, I can still get some words done by writing in the other. But I just caution you about starting too many stories, because the whole point of this, or of your writing journey, is to get a book finished. And having 20 to 50 partially written manuscripts on your desktop is really not a good idea. But maybe if it would help, start another story that's totally different. And then you can work between one and the other, and it helps stop you from being stuck. It sounds very weird, but it does work. If I'm writing something and then I sort of think, oh, I'm really not sure what's going to happen next, because of course I'm a pantser, so I've got to make all this up as I go along, I will go in and write the scene in the second book instead. And while I'm writing that, for some reason, my brain seems to think, hey, what about that other one? And I get ideas on what to write on the other one. So that's just another idea if you find yourself stuck in the middle of your story. And the third reason about not feeling it at all is a lot harder to answer or offer tips for, because you need to ask yourself why you feel that way. Is it the story? Is it there's something going on at home? Have you got issues or something with someone close to you? Or is it more of a case of the imposter syndrome, where you feel you just can't do it? You feel like everything you've written so far is crap and things like that. That is so common in all authors across the board. There always comes a part in your writing journey where you just think, oh, this is just rubbish. This is the worst I've ever written. This is something, nobody will ever read this. It's just crap. It happens. And it's really, that's okay. But the thing is to not stop writing because of it. If you're feeling an imposter syndrome, then just keep pushing through. Revert back to my suggestion before. Write something ridiculous. If you think it's rubbish, then it doesn't matter anyway, does it? But if you keep writing, you will write your way through that feeling. And it really does work, believe me. With respect for yourself, if something's going on at home or you're going through some issues with family or friends or whatever else it is, in those cases, yes, give yourself a bit of a break. Give yourself a bit of a leeway if you need it. It's really not easy to write stories in particular if your emotions are all dragged down because of something else. However, I would suggest, especially if you're going through some difficult times, that funneling those energies into your stories is also a good idea. You may have to start a new one, but it really isn't a bad idea to write through those feelings as well. Writing is a great way for us to be able to process on a subconscious basis perhaps some of the issues that we've had in our life. And I'm not talking about writing autobiography or self help or anything else like that. I'm talking about in fiction. There are so many situations that my characters have been in across the 100+ books I've already written that are actually directly come from my own life. They're sensations and feelings and experiences that I've been through. And so I have processed them through my characters. And I do find that very helpful. I find it very rewarding. And so it might be something you want to consider for yourself. As for me, I didn't get to write this week because I was just busy. But that's all right because last night I sat up until gone midnight finishing off a scene. And I have been really busy today because it's my admin day. But I will go ahead and continue writing. Well, actually, I won't write this evening because I have a call with my collab partner. So maybe today I won't get anything done at all. That doesn't matter. But if you feel that you really can't write, then do at least think on that particular day, is there something else I can be doing for my book business? Maybe you could do a bit of marketing. If you want to spend some time on social media, why don't you make a few posts or go into a couple of writer groups and offer some advice or, read other author advice and things like that. Check up and see what your favorite authors are doing online. And as I say, make a few posts as well, because marketing, even if you haven't got your book finished yet, is a really good idea. Being a presence on social media is, especially if it's relevant to your genre and your book, the type of book you're writing, then that works as well. Perhaps the last piece of advice I want to give you is one I have to remind myself of constantly. Don't go beating yourself up for it if you don't get any words done that day. Just make a determination that you're definitely going to do it tomorrow. And if it helps at all, read over what you've written so far just before you go to bed, because it's amazing what your brain can do while you're sleeping. And with any luck, you shall wake up with a whole new scene already in your head when you're ready to sit down and write again. I hope this helped. If you have any suggestions or comments, please drop them in the comments below, because it's always helpful. We all have different ways of, as authors, we all have different ways of coping with being stuck or that feeling that we just can't write today, or even trying to deal with our time. So if you have suggestions, I'm sure other people would love to read them too. I'll get there. In the meantime, I post long form content on Mondays and Thursdays, and I would love to hear from you. I answer all my comments, and if you like this sort of thing and want to become part of this little writing community, then please hit the like and the subscribe button. And until the next time, we will catch you then. Bye.